Great. Hey Thomas, I am Mike, and this is our weekly grab bag for the first to last of the nerddom. We cover all things in between that cover the nerddom.
Mhm.
With that being said, we can jump right into it. We had a pretty busy last few weeks. I thought the news would slow down a little bit, but it
Mhm.
hasn't.
Nope.
So this
Nope.
week,
The news stops for no one.
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's right. That's right. Yeah, this week, this is a big one. I kind of forgot about this one. I kind of get washed over. At least it kind of fell from my radar. But this one came out on Sunday,
Yeah,
and I haven't
dragon in
really
the
watched
house.
Targaryens, and this is the set 200 years or 170 whatever years before Game of Thrones in that world, as it were. And I've only seen about a quarter of it. I want to finish watching it. I don't really have an opinion because I want to see it. Um, I did see some of the trailers for it, and I was I wasn't like blown away by them, but like it was definitely like, okay, this is something I definitely have an interest to check out. But you seen the whole kid and caboodle so far?
Yeah, I've seen the whole episode, and yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I have not watched any other reviews on the intronets. I So this is
I
completely
stayed
my
away.
opinion. My opinion. It hasn't been tampered with by the various voices on the internet. I like I said, I enjoy it's by a different creative team that Ryan J. Condal there is one of the showrunners. The showrunners for the original Game of Thrones, nowhere to be seen on this one. So, and that may be due to the lackluster final two seasons of Game of Thrones. And I was very lukewarm on this series. I sort of noticed it, them putting it together, making it, and I kind of threw it in the back of my mind. I was like, okay, whatever. I knew I'd watch it once it came out, but it wasn't something I was anticipating. Wasn't marking the days off of my calendar for it
Yeah,
to come
no,
out.
no,
Yeah, so
neither. Same here.
and again, that last season of Game of Thrones just kind of burnt me and made me disinterested in Game of Thrones. But the show starts out. We won't go into spoilers, especially since Mike hasn't seen it yet. But it starts off with the main character. She's flying in on her dragon, and there's just something about seeing that dragon flying around, and then she lands and meets with her princess friend, and they kind of walk through King's Landing, seeing King's Landing again, and
Right.
here they start piping in that Game of Thrones music, that iconic
Yep.
music, and I was back in. I was like,
Ve-
okay,
It,
let's go, let's
it
go.
was it was very subtle, and one thing I will comment on is that I definitely was reminded of. You know the opening theme and kind of intro to Game of Thrones, like where they go through the map, and then you see
Yeah.
things in detail. I was definitely reminded of that.
Hmm.
And they showed a lot of detail on the the background and whatnot, which I really
Hmm.
did appreciate. I think they did a very good job. Anyway, I tried to watch all the way through, but it was getting late, and I'm an old man, so I had to turn the lights out, and then I'm hoping to pick it up and finish watching it here tonight. But
Yeah.
in any case,
Yeah, and
I
the story focuses on the House Targaryen, and it's kind of a smaller piece. It doesn't have a wide ranging cast that goes across the globe. At least to start off with, you've got that small the house, and then that house is ruling Westeros, and so it's
Mhm.
all so far taking place in King's Landing. I don't know how it's going to branch out or how it's going to go through that. And then I enjoyed that main character. She's interesting, and don't start going. Oh, it's woke. It's got a female lead. No, no. There's always been strong female leads in Game of Thrones, and
yeah, I'll kind of be honest with you. I'm kind of getting tired of hearing that point being brought
yeah.
up, because the thing is that And I'm not saying that there isn't anything of this or whatever or that. Fair criticism for whatever. That's fine. That's fair. But the thing is like you get to a point like where it's Boy Who Cried Wolf, you know, and it's just like,
Yeah.
come on, it's played out. Like let's reserve that for things that actually are that. And I'm not saying it is or isn't.
Yeah.
I've yet to see it, but I don't. None of this strikes me like when I started watching this, and I'll be honest with you, I purposely kept myself away from the reviews because I don't want to hear it. I just want to see it on my own dime, on my own
Yeah.
time, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah, like you, I kind of stayed away. I'm just kind of imagining what people will be saying, and then but the criticism I have so far is a lot of the actors haven't really stood out to me as they did in Game of Thrones. Now Matt Smith,
I,
he's really good as the Damon. He's
I,
one of the standouts.
I've seen enough to say this. Matt Smith is deliciously evil. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Jesus, crying out loud! Holy night! Good grief! Like I'm trying not to cuss, but like,
Yeah.
I got to the scene like where he gets he gets kind of sort of reprimanded for his actions, and I'll leave it there. But yeah, in any case, like I was excited to see the swoop. Yeah, kind of like how you're saying, like when you saw the opening and you were watching it. It's like, all right, I'm here for this. I'm
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I want this for sure.
In the new head of Warner Brothers, Zaslav, he's very enthusiastic from what he said in interviews and in his board meeting. He's very enthused with House of the Dragons, and in fact, I think I saw a headline. I didn't grab it for this because it was just a little bit before we started recording, but there was a headline saying, or maybe it's just a rumor. I think Overlord Doomcock was talking about it, where Zazlab's looking to maybe reboot Game of Thrones or go back and maybe fix Game of Thrones, which I don't have a problem with. That could be interesting. And I know that J.R. Martin's really enthusiastic with House of Dragons, because our pal and friend that we interviewed earlier, Joe Lansdale, he's really good friend with J.R.R. Martin, and J.R.R. Martin had talked to him about promoting House of Dragons on his Facebook. So Joe Lansdale was promoting it on his Facebook page as a nod towards J.R.R. Martin or George R.R. Martin. So he's enthusiastic as well. So.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, this is all smiles for me. We'll see how it goes, but I definitely want to finish watching. I was just I was beat, and I
Yeah.
really tried to sit through it, but like I was just like, all right, if I don't go to bed now, yeah, because then it's gonna make me want to watch, some kind of lore video or something like that, or find some podcast like where they're talking about it, or find a good one anyway. Oh,
Yeah.
if you know of a good House of the Dragon podcast, let us know, because that stuff's awesome when you can get the sync up, watch a good show, and then have good discussion afterwards. It's awesome for sure.
Yeah, 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 and I think we'll, maybe if we could keep up with the series, we will touch on it. Each
Yeah,
of our grab bags.
absolutely.
We won't be that in depth podcast, but at least we'll talk about it a little bit, so you
I
can.
I am very happy with Warner with HBO Max or HBO. It just seems like there's just been a string of very good things to watch, and that's unusual, I think, because like
Mhm,
I don't know about you, but it's either feast or famine. You're
mhm,
either out there in the desert and you don't have like unless you know things to watch, which is what we uncover every week or so. But
yeah,
yeah, anyway, I
yeah,
digress. But this wasn't the
yeah.
only new show out either, was it?
Yeah, best case scenario, best case ideal situation for me is if you watch all 10 episodes of the House of Dragon. I'm assuming it'll be 10 episodes. At the end of
I
the
think
10
so.
episode, at the end of the 10 episodes, George R. R. Martin drops the new Game of Thrones book, the Fire and Ice, the next one in the series. If he surprise drops it, That'd be awesome, but
That
that's probably not going to happen. But that would be great.
that would be a hellacious build up. And like I kind of joke about it. It's almost up there with the joke of like every year is going to be the year of the Linux desktop, you know, the
Uh-huh.
kind of thing. Like, sure, though, this year is the year of the Linux desktop, as it were. Or Brian Linduke's famous Linux Sucks series. Shout out to that. Anyway, nerddom. But so this wasn't the only one out. I agree. That would be really cool if that could be. And I kind of want to, probably a few episodes from now, I'm probably going to be starting to revisit some of the old books, probably, or have that itch, I guess, for more. But we'll see. But what else this week? I don't know if you wanted to go into the next one.
We
Uh,
could we yeah, another one that premiered this past week was She-Hulk. If I know you haven't seen it, I'll touch upon a few things on this, and then if you have some
I have
comments,
some
you could
thoughts. Yeah.
always throw those in. Now, my my female friend that's a huge Marvel fan, she saw it before me, and she said you got to watch it. I really enjoyed it. So, and she hadn't liked the past two things that she's seen of Marvel. She didn't like Thor, and she wasn't
Okay.
happy how Miss Marvel came out. So she was very enthusiastic about She-Hulk. So it got my interest. So I definitely watched it. I wasn't as enthusiastic as she was. Now, She-Hulk
Mhm.
is one of my favorite comic book characters. Actually, she I first started reading. Well, actually, let me give you a little bit of origin story on She-Hulk.
Yeah, please.
The reason why she even exists was at the time back in the 70s, or maybe it was early 80s. The Incredible Hulk had a TV series, and also Spider-Man had a TV series. And the guy that was making the Hulk had done previously the Bionic Woman, which was a spinoff of $6 Million Man.
Right.
And
Linda
Stan Lee,
Carter.
yeah, and Stan Lee, always being the shrewd businessman, he started thinking, "Oh my God, if they decided to spin off the massively popular show Hulk into a female version of Hulk, Marvel wouldn't have any hand in that. They could do that all themselves." So,
Interesting.
so being the shrewd businessman, Stan Lee created She-Hulk to beat him to the punch. And
Interesting.
then he also did Spider-Woman as well, so that no one could could create their own Spider-Woman.
Smart.
So yeah, so so She-Hulk was created purely for financial reasons, and not because someone come up with a really cool idea. So she always kind of had the stack against her. She was always sort of that character out there. And the first time that she was really used to good use was during John Byrne's run of Fantastic Four. And I was reading that run back in the day when I was a kid. The Thing stepped down from being in the Fantastic Four at that time,
Mhm.
and they brought on She-Hulk. And he
Okay.
really, John Byrne did a really good job writing that character, and really made you really like her. And then he then spun it off into a solo series that was just She-Hulk, and that one was really good. And that sort of kind of cemented who her character was. And at the time, his editor said, "Do something off the wall with this character," and he did. He he kind of Ferris Buellered her up in the sense she would break the fourth wall and would talk to the audience, and also she'd get mad at the writer John Byrne and yell at him as well for the stories that he was putting her in. And I really loved that take. I fell in love with that character and the way that story was written. And I think later on, I didn't read the run, but Dan Slott in the 2000s wrote another series with She-Hulk, where it kind of cemented her. She is always an attorney, but he kind of focused on the attorney at law dealing with superhero issues. And I've heard good things about that run, so I might revisit that, or actually go read it for the first time at
I
some
was just
point.
saying, it makes me, you talking about it makes me want to go search out that storyline and go read it, and then do that. Yeah, what I have heard is that this is a sitcom, essentially, or as close
Yeah,
as that Marvel
well,
Marvel comes to a sitcom,
it's
like
it's definitely a comedy. Yeah,
right,
and
right.
the first episode, they do kind of hit upon that breaking the fourth wall, talking to the audience kind of thing, but they
Yeah.
don't use it to very good effect. She kind of breaks it to kind of set up the story, and then
Okay.
it starts off at one point, and then where she is the She-Hulk, and then she kind of tells what happens to her, and the way that she gets her powers, she does get it from Banner, like in the comic book, but the way they do it in the show is so unrealistic as opposed to the comic book. Oddly enough,
Okay.
you would think that would be the other way around. In the comic book, there's she gets shot, and the only she needs blood, and Banner's the only one that can give her blood. So he gives her blood, and obviously that makes her the Hulk, the Hulk.
All right.
Uh, and so that's kind of that's a cool origin, right? Whereas in this one, there's a flying saucer that comes down, and they swerve to get off the road, and they tumble out, and as tumbling, Bruce Banner, he's human, he's not Hulk at that point, he gets a cut on his arm, and his radioactive blood drips off into Jennifer Walters' scratch. She
Okay.
gets her blood in his and for some reason she becomes Hulk through that little bit of blood that gets into her wound.
So they're
Which,
blood brothers, or
yeah,
interesting.
and it makes you wonder, could that happen with anybody? That really brings in the fact that, well, what happens if the Hulk gets cut or something
Yeah. Well,
during a fight with the someone?
they did in the movies. They did play with his blood. I don't remember which. I can't remember if
Yeah,
it's the Norton one or if it's the Eric Bana one. I can't remember what. I think it was the Abomination one, whatever it was. But
yeah,
they did something with the blood or whatever. Blah blah blah. But this is like more like a sitcom thing. Like I'm not sitting here. I don't think it was made for me and my demographic. But I generally don't like sitcoms in general. So like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
me
yeah,
personally. That's not saying it sucks or doesn't or whatever. I don't know. But I just don't. I
mhm,
don't. I think a lot of the criticism around it is a little bit overcome to a point. To a point. I did see a couple memes or whatever, like based on like one scene.
mhm.
But to not get into it, but like
Well,
like good.
yeah,
I think it was made for like wine Facebook moms, that kind of thing. Like, man, that's totally fine. I think that it sounds like it would resonate with that group,
yeah,
way more than like me.
yeah. Well, what held the pilot together for me was Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, he may have some issues with his Twitter account, but as far as kind of spouting off various opinions, but he does do a very good Hulk, and I do enjoy him as the Hulk, and he kind of shined through on this episode. And at times, the actress that plays She-Hulk, she can get kind of a little whiny, and again, she could do everything better than the Hulk. He
Oh,
and
no, okay.
she does point that out several times throughout the episode. So I will continue to watch it, but
Okay.
it's on thin ice. I don't know if if she can hold together an episode. That will be the challenge for next episode, because
Well,
Mark Ruffalo held together this episode.
all right, that's cool. Well, and he's always been solid in cameo here, or whatever, like with the Thor Ragnarok. That was great in that. I love that one.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like
Yeah.
I I I had a thought, but anyway, I don't have
Oh,
anything constructive to add.
and this episode they touch on a not safe for work thing. The big question is Captain American a version. So
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's what my criticism I was going to say is like does it kind of seem to you like where okay, so Star Wars kind of has gotten thin, I guess, is a more positive way to say it. Like, do you think that they're kind of getting a little bit thinner with the connections and it's like, oh, let's go on down the road. You know?
I don't know. I think they're with this phase 4, they're really stumbling. They don't have anything to anchor all of these things. So I think they were trying to spit out a bunch of new characters and hoping that they stick. And for the most part, I don't think they're outside Moon Knight. I don't know of any of them that are really sticking. So, but who knows? Like you said, I don't think She-Hulk's sort of aimed towards us.
Right.
Like I said, my female friend, I think that kind of is in her sweet spot. So maybe that's the audience that they're going for. But yeah, like I said, it kind of held my interest. It's not the best in the world by far, and like I said, I may be done with it by the second episode with minus Ruffalo, but who knows?
Yeah, I think that's just like the some of the typical kind of YouTubers that I like to watch or whatever. Like that's I think they haven't acknowledged that fact. That like I think that some of them it's like some did with Miss Marvel. It was clearly made for a completely different demographic.
Yeah.
I don't want to pound this in the ground forever, but I just think it's really important to recognize that, and then before you kind of jump into like, of course it's going to be a certain kind of thing, because it's like I said, like my jokey kind of comical take on it is like it's like Facebook moms, it's like the suburbanite, whatever. Like I think it's made for that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Which is kind of an interesting approach because you're aiming to an audience, an unproven audience, an audience that is either halved your original audience or even a quarter of the audience. So you may be hitting that group, but it's a much smaller group, and you would think they would want to go for the bigger audience, but who knows? Maybe they have a master plan I'm not aware of. So
yeah, I think this could be very much like a cult thing, or a very much beloved thing by like a core group of audience. So maybe that will work. And then I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Like we'll see how it'll be interesting to see what you think of it. If it's worth it. I just don't. Like I said, I'm just not a sitcom kind of guy in general. Never mind the superhero aspect of it at all. But
yeah, the thing that we recommend is John Byrne's run on She-Hulk comic, and you might want to try out the Dan Slott's run on She-Hulk as an attorney at law. So if that's one of the good things about our little segment here. That we could always shout up the thing that is good about.
Yeah, that's the great thing about you can either go backwards or forwards or whatever, like with these things, especially if you're in the know, like you have. But anyway, moving on. I think we beat a dead horse, but not anything bad or whatever. It's just like
we beat a dead Hulk.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I think Hulk was already pretty much dead before we showed up anyway. to play into the thing I just complained about.
Yeah. And
moving on.
I think a little something else in the grab bag as far as TV shows. I did watch a couple more episodes of the Sandman, and I decided to pick up the Sandman collection. I originally read the run starting with issue number 1 back in the day in the late 80s, and that was the first and only time I'd read the comic book. At the time when I was reading it, I was a teenager. A lot of the concepts and what he was writing about was going over my head. I knew it was going over my head, and my plan was at a later date when I was a little bit older, would go back and reread it. But with rereading, I always put off rereading forever, and so jumped to today, and I'm rereading Sandman.
Okay.
And I've got the first book, and so I've been kind of reading it parallel to the show, watching the episodes, and they're doing a really good job of
Okay.
covering an issue, an episode. Obviously, with 20-page comic book and an hour-long episode, you're going to have filler for the for the TV show. So, and
Mhm.
I've enjoyed what they've done, what they've added. They brought in a couple of characters early on. There are some things that they've changed from the comic book that I wouldn't have changed, or I would
Mhm.
have changed them a little bit differently. But overall, the core of the comic book is there. The thing that I loved about the comic books there. Maybe I'm not real happy with some of the casting choices that they made. That's neither here nor there. Whatever.
Mhm.
That's
You can
always
still hang,
that's
and
always going to happen. Yeah.
sure, you still get enjoyment out of it. That's cool.
Yeah. I'm about 4 episodes in. Been kind of wanting to watch it a little bit faster. So
Okay.
so maybe I'll be a little over the middle part by next grab bag. But if by the end of it, I'll give you a kind of a overview. And also, Netflix dropped a bonus episode. There's an 11th
Okay.
episode that just came out this past week. So those of you that have watched all 10 episodes and thought you were done, go back. You got one more episode.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. You talked about this one. It kind of it piques my curiosity to kind of like at least sit through the first one and
Yeah.
see if anything catches. You know, maybe at least maybe the first 3 episodes. Anyway, I like to give something, like a
Mhm.
little bit of a build up, unless it's just
Yeah.
terrible. You just
Well,
can't. You just punch
and
out of it and you're gone.
yeah, and I think what really works with the show is that each episode has been pretty much a single issue of the comic book, so that you have
Okay.
a beginning, middle, and end. You do have a self-contained episode. It's a overreaching. There is a story that continues. Obviously, you can't just watch episode 2 and think you you can follow it. But each episode tells a story, whereas a lot of streaming shows kind of stretches the story so that there's a story that maybe could have been told in one episode, but they stretch it along 3 episodes. So you can immediately kind of get into the story in this. And so, yeah, I think if you watch the first episode and enjoy it, you're going to enjoy the rest of the episodes.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool.
All right.
Cool. Cool.
There's been a lot of good shows I've been watching. Just finding the time to at least watch an episode or two during the week is a challenge, but that's a good thing, I think.
Indeed. Well, like I said, it's either feast or famine for these things.
Right.
I don't know
Right.
about you, but like we'll go
Yeah.
through vast stretches of like nothing on, or
Yeah. Yeah, and I finished up Better Call Saul and Westworld. Last episodes of those came out last week, so that we
Okay.
can usher in House of Dragons. But yeah, Westworld was a really good season. I really enjoyed it.
I need
Much,
to catch
much,
up.
much, much better than the third season.
Okay.
A lot of people dropped off during the third season. If you love Westworld, it may be worth it to kind of get through the third season to get to the fourth season. Of course, that's up to you. But yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, I need to catch up with this because I did watch the first couple seasons and I liked it. I just got busy and I just didn't revisit it. With that being said, what do we have next here? What do you want to go to next for news as we roll through here covering?
Yeah, just grab on in there. Get something juicy.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. It won't. Oh, you know what? I can do I'll just do oh, I guess not. Maybe not.
Uh-oh.
Good grief. That's okay.
Yeah, we may have Godzilla stomping through again, and that's a if you haven't seen our podcast this week, our main one, we talk about a couple of Godzilla movies. Check those out if you're into the Godzilla.
Indeed. Yeah, this was the Black Mirror season 6. Hopefully, you can see it. Adds
Yeah.
Annie Marie. What's going on with Black Mirror? That's another Netflix series, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you, you obviously you're familiar with that. Have you seen Black Mirror?
I have seen a couple episodes, but totally out of order. And it was like usually like one that came up. I think it was a few years ago that was like really popular. I can't. It's been too long, but I've seen a couple episodes here there. But that's about as I'm familiar-ish with it, kind of, sort of. But that's about it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. So they're coming out with a sixth season. There's been a huge break in between, which can be a good thing. The creator Charlie Brooker took some time off. Again, I think with the anthology series that is mainly written by him, that's you probably want to kind of refresh your your creative juices, because I think that last season wasn't as good as the rest of them. So maybe he wanted to take some time off to kind of recharge. And I was reading the article. It says that he's kind of taking a more humorous slant to it. He has actually done some British comedies, so he does have some comedic chops. So this one will be a little bit more humorous, which I kind of look forward to. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. I've seen pretty much all the episodes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. And then I'm going to reshare going back. I think there's a couple other. Yeah, there's a couple other ones that we needed to do here. We'll do one at a time.
Yeah,
okay.
It kind of builds up the anticipation for each article. Um, yeah, the news, like I said, there were several different news items, but I don't think we have to spend too much time on each of them. They're kind of self-explanatory for the most part.
Yeah, the next one was pretty juicy. Actually, I definitely wanted to cover for sure.
Yeah.
While I pull it up here, Gary Busey.
The Buse. Yeah, we've talked about him in a previous podcast. He's an interesting character, and he's up to a little bit of trouble. And oh no, he's gotten arrested on some sex crime charges. You know,
So what happened here?
Yeah, you hate to hear it, but are you surprised, Mike?
I kind of am. I mean, like I mean, I knew he kind of wasn't all the way there, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like that's kind of just like, but that's kind of the collective thing with him. But apparently, he is.
Yeah, the article doesn't go into too much details, but evidently there was kind of some harassment and some, yeah, at the end, yeah, there the sexual criminal sexual contact, yeah, and disorderly persons offense. So
apparently he didn't leave when he was asked to leave, or stop when he was asked to stop.
Oh, you're kind of roboting there. What was that?
I was just saying, it's just kind of about him, basically not leaving or stopping when he was told or asked to, generally speaking.
Yeah. So Monster Mania convention looks like, yeah. So yeah, a little up. He maybe went a little too far with a fan or something. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure the whole story will probably eventually come out. And there's there was a TV show back in the 2000s, was it, where it was like Me and Busey or something. It was some regular guy that they had go and hang out with him, and yeah, the way he kind of interacted with the guy, you knew there wasn't a whole lot of personal boundaries with Gary Busey. So
yeah, that's why you just kind of don't know if you're seeing actual person, Gary Busey, or if you're actually seeing like a caricature kind of played up, but apparently that's kind of like
no,
he's kind of been known as like a loose cannon beyond being eccentric to being, jumping into the weird, creepy territory, I guess.
Right. Yeah. No, I think I told previously on one of our podcasts where Jeff Ramsey and Mike Jones from Achievement Hunter, they happened to be on a plane ride that Gary Busey was on. They quickly realized just how crazy he was. He didn't sit next to him, but he sat next to another guy, and he drove the guy completely bonkers. There's they did a little animated kind of a short animated thing on it, which maybe we'll include in the description down below that
For
you can
sure.
watch. But yeah, it was so we'll kind of keep up with Busey and see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of sad to see that. You kind of want him to be this lovable crazy guy, but sometimes things real life kind of steps in and doesn't go the way you want it.
No, yeah. Eccentric is one thing, creepy is another, for sure. And then with that being
Yeah.
said, we rotate out to our Marvel. Good grief, these ads suck. Marvel just changed everything about what's going on with this one. Why are they changing up Daredevil?
Well, they didn't really change it up per se. They didn't change the the events of his history, but they kind of changed up how they happen. Chip Zdarsky introduced, and I think he may be a previous character, but I don't remember him from previous comic books. But he's like a former classmate colleague of Matt's, Robert Goldie Goldman, and he tells Daredevil in the newest episode or issue. I'm sorry, we were talking about TV. But in issue 650, he says that he's his guardian angel, and he's able to tilt people and things in Daredevil's favor or disfavor to guide him through life. So he's been there, and he's been instrumental in certain episodes of his life by changing the direction of a particular person. Let's say he introduces something in the mind of a police officer to accidentally shoot somebody that triggers an event that I'm trying to keep it as spoiler free as possible. But yeah, so he's kind of the strings, and then so Matt Murdock asked him, so are you responsible for everything that happens to me? And he says no, that there's certain events that his personality or his actions alone kind of guided things through. I'm kind of interested in how this goes. This on the surface doesn't sound all that great. I don't really care for someone else being in charge of what happened to to Daredevil. But Chip Zdarsky is a really good writer, so maybe he has some interesting plans for him. But yeah, I really don't know. If you read the issue and had your own take on it, put your comments down below. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll see how the future issues handle it.
Indeed, for sure. Yeah, and then moving on to Invincible, Iron Man returned.
Not a whole lot to say. They're rebooting. Well, they're okay. So Marvel likes to have like when Christopher Cantwell writing Iron Man right now. So when he ends his writing run of Iron Man and a new guy comes on to write it, they like to end the series and start it again with issue number 1. And so everybody wants to get issue number 1, so that inflates the sales for that issue. It's a little game that they play.
And the 50 covers that they make as well.
yeah, exactly. But they keep the old numbers as well, so that when they hit a milestone like issue 700, then it's either episode 17, but also issue 700. It gets very confusing, and the only reason to do it is to bolster sales. So it's really kind of stupid. So yeah, what's this will be issue number, chronologically speaking, issue 750, is where Christopher Cantwell ends his run in November, and then Gary Dugan's going to take over writing Iron Man. And Gary Dugan's a pretty decent writer. I liked some of his work on X-Men. So yeah, I'm kind of interested to see where he takes Iron Man from this. Christopher Cantwell has had an interesting run on it. He's broken Tony Stark's neck. He got him hooked up on drugs, and he made him a cosmic god. And for a few, to just hit some of the highlights. But yeah, so it's been a very eventful run, and so it'll be interesting to see where Gary Dugan takes it from here.
For sure. Oh. Tom Palmer, I saw this when you posted it in our chat, and this sucks.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's sad to see him go. He's been a mainstay in my life, all my life, while reading comic books. I first noticed his name and his art on Star Wars. I was a big Star Wars nerd back way back, and so of course I read the first run of Marvel Star Wars comic books, and he was the inker on a lot of those issues, and I always remembered his name from that. So whenever he would pop up on a comic book, I was always kind of excited to see his name. And yeah, it's definitely sad to see him go, but he's leaving us with a lot of great art.
Yeah, a lot of and future memories to be made, for sure, to revisit some of this. Like, it makes me want to, for sure.
Yep.
Cool. And just kind of to cover one of the things that I had real quick was just the Dune part 2. It will be a pretty important part of HBO Max, basically. And this is kind of just reconfirming also that there's a TV show, and I don't think we really covered too much of this, but when Zazlab came in, a lot of things were cut, a lot of things were both boosted, I suppose, or sustained rather. But this is one of them, and this is they're going to do a TV show called Dune: The Sisterhood, which fits tongue and groove.
Which doesn't tie into the Whoopi Goldberg movie from back, The Sisterhood, right?
Yeah, no, not Sister Act at all.
Oh, Sister Act. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There'll be no singing. That's a little bit later on in the Dune universe.
That's your dad joke for the week. Courtesy of me.
Sure.
Courtesy of me. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is just, kind of covering like how important the franchise is, essentially. Like, it's a good article. It's not much to say, but just that this is going to become a very more important part of their property, their IP, because it's definitely going places, but that not much.
Yeah, and we're both Dune heads. So, or what is the term for us? I know there's Trekkies, and but then I don't know if there's a term for Dune fans.
I don't know. I kind of joke about Dune here or there, but sorry, I just want to make sure I get okay. Cool. Yep. Coming back into the thing, I can go back to the original tabs here. I don't know. Duners.
As long as you don't,
I don't know.
as long as you don't put worm in there, I'm happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you, I'm looking forward to the new movie and the Sisterhood. I think when is this coming out? Did you say? I
don't want to say that it has it here. I think it's going to be coming out next year. I know they're working on it. They're working on it in parallel, so it's going to be hitting around I would imagine it's going to be hitting around not too far different from Dune Part 2 coming out.
Okay.
So actually, there was a little bit of a work conflict because Villeneuve couldn't work on this and kind of had to split things up a little bit. That was a few months back, but not much I've heard other than that. But it's gonna be cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. This kind of leads into like one of the shows that's going to be coming out. Later half of next week will be this. But I saw this happen, and apparently this Swedish gaming company or entertainment company bought the rights to Lord of the Rings for like $500 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
572.8 million dollars, and it was 6 billion Swedish krona, whatever the hell that is. Like I'm joking. Like don't bite my head off. We love all our fans. So if you're from Sweden, it's a very beautiful country. Anyway, but they basically said that they bought it, and that they were going to do something with it. But this kind of ties into the next Lord of the Rings. There's not much to say here other than that it got bought out. But of course, this is the thing that will be out next this time. It'll be Thursday or Friday. I think it's coming out. So whatever September 1st is, they're making it come out a day early because I think September 2nd was the day that Tolkien died. I think I don't know how many years ago, but it was a really long time ago. But anyway, this is coming up. Are you going to check this out? Are you going to see this? Or I mean, I know. I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of headlines, so to speak, in the nerddom.
I'll definitely cringe watch at least the first episode. I know we gave we did a main podcast of it the first of the year, kind of hoping for the best, but we quite a few things, but all this speculation, all this, it could turn out to be a good show. I'll definitely give it a shot. First episode. It was very good of them to release House of the Dragons way too early, because that kind of fires up the interest in that. I'm much more anticipating the next episode of that as opposed to this. I'm kind of on the same level of anticipation that of this that I had with House of the Dragon. So I was very, very happy with House of the Dragons, but yeah, who knows? They could it'll be a very big blunder if this isn't a hit, because they've already spent $500 million alone just filming it, and we've seen advertisements for this all over the place. So no telling how much they spent on advertising. So this needs to be a hit for them to really justify the money.
I don't know. Like this is I wish I could have let this kind of like sleep under the radar a little bit and not be so connected but it's just unfortunately the group of YouTube folks that I have, they just talk about it constantly. Which is okay. That's fine. It's entertaining enough anyway. But we'll see. House of the Dragon, I agree. Like of the two, I'm going to be watching House of the Dragon. I don't know if I'm going to. I mean, I'm not going to say that I won't or will, but I don't know. I'm just not. To be honest with you, has not. If this is good or better or whatever it is, but I'm not really a big fantasy type guy anyway. So. I think we kind of talked about that. That's another fantasy series that didn't quite catch on like I think they wanted it to, or they were hoping anyway.
You were kind of roboting there. What was the show that you were talking about?
The Wheel of Time. Yeah, the Wheel of Time. The fantasy. Like I'm just not a fantasy guy, regardless of whether this is good or bad. Like I like Lord of the Rings, right? But like if anything, this will probably make me go back and watch those.
Be honest with you. And
we'll see.
The original Lord of the Rings were kind of lightning in the bottle. They kind of everything kind of coalesced, and they were kind of perfect unto themselves. One of my oldest friends, Walter, he's going back and rereading the books, and he's going, man, they changed a lot for the movies and whatnot. And of course they did, but but the heart of the story is there. And yeah, no, I was making the comment before I knew this was happening. I was thinking there's no way that they can make Lord of the Rings now and do it the way they did it then. There's major changes they would have had to have made to make people happy. And I'll leave it there, and then you can look at the Rings of Power and look of the things that they have they have changed this. And yeah, like I said, we have Lord of the Rings. I'm happy to have that. If this turns out to be good, cool. If it does, it's not going to hurt the original Lord of the Rings. That will always
Yeah,
be there.
yeah, and to just kind of just pontificate a little bit, not quite soapbox, but to kind of go into that a little bit. This is for one thing, okay. Only the nerds know anything about Lord of the Rings, and then like they know the Balrog, and then they know this, they know that, they know all this stuff. I'm a casual to this thing, so how it catches is really going to depend upon how they set it up. So like where you have a recurring interest to, because I don't know about you, but I'm going to be really honest. I don't know. I would have to go back and like look at the original characters aside from the obvious Gollum, the Ring, Bilbo Baggins, like whatever, the Hobbit, like the obvious ones, but like how they set that. This is going to live and die on like how interesting they hook folks in.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to. I don't know that. Well, for one thing, nobody knows until it happens. But aside
Yep.
from that, I don't. I really am curious as to see, and just to kind of strip away all the talking points and the this and that of it. I would be really curious to see, or like want to kind of search and take a little bit of research. I really want to see what the demographic, what the who they're making it for in particular, that I would be curious about from the perspective of Amazon Prime, not necessarily
Right.
from the perspective of like, talking heads on the internet, whatever. But we'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. Who
Yeah.
knows?
And then one last thing on it. This the stack is stacked against this show in
It is.
that the original Tolkien expert that they had on the show that was all around what everybody said was a leading expert. He was fired. Peter Jackson was originally approached, but then was ghosted. There's over 1 million dislikes on the original trailer. So that tells you lots of people are disinterested at this point in this show. Again, everything's kind of stacked against them. If they pull out a win, that's going to be amazing. But yeah, and then the fourth thing I was going to say is, uh, I think I mentioned it on a grab bag previously. Mega 64, they were at San Diego Comic Con, and they said that
Right.
every year the big thing that they promote and have banners all over the place for usually turns out to be a dud and disappears within almost immediately upon its being introduced. And Ring of Power was the big thing for this previous Comic Con. So yeah, those first things are really stacked against it. We'll see.
Yeah,
But yeah,
and to kind of just bring up the timeliness of why we're talking about it, because for one thing, next week, and one of the other big things too, and I don't know if this is I kind of tend to think this goes against it a little bit, but again, that's kind of like why I want to know like the background story about like, so you can clearly see the photos here that I'm showing, and what I'm calling attention to is it says September 2nd, and they announced that it was going to be out a day early. So they're releasing it a full day early, from September 2nd. And this thing had been, these posters had been made, and I'm really kind of surprised. I believe that Amazon owns IMDb. I'm really kind of surprised that they don't have the updated pictures in here, especially for the marketing blitz that they had out. So what that means, I don't know. Maybe they always intended on doing that, and it was just a good surprise to the fans. Maybe, who knows? But we'll find out very shortly.
yep, yeah,
For sure.
yeah. And speaking of the fans, if they were making it for the fans, they've done a very, very poor job of it. They've they've
They fought
pissed
them
off a
at
lot
every
of
turn.
hardcore Lord of the Rings fans. They've kind of spit in their face, so to speak, time
Right.
and time again. So we'll see how what happens.
Yeah, they did
Which
that thing that they did with Kiva or Riva on Twitter or whatever. They were actively attacking fans for uh, other stupid, they
yeah.
don't fight with them. Just don't, just ignore them, like if it's great, it's going to stand on its own. You don't got to defend it at all because people will love it. And then they'll naturally drown out the haters or whatever they want to call them,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But and whatever, we'll
Yeah.
see for sure. Anyway, moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah, and
Um,
I don't have a. I was going to do a soapbox soon about fandom. I was kind of thinking about it. I don't want to do it on this one, but that'll be a for a future one, which
sure,
kind of
sure.
touches upon different things in fandom.
Yeah, I had another article, but I cannot remember why I thought that. But anyway, this is the only other news thing I think that we needed to cover, or that we had on the
Yeah,
docket.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, Kevin Smith is teaming up with Dark Horse for a
Okay.
comic book line. Kind of involves his view askew skewiverse.
All
So
right.
all of it, so like Clerks, Chasing Amy, all the greats. You got Jay and Bob. Now, he did have a comic book back in the '90s with Oni Press, and I know Oni Press just recently kind of crumbled and declared bankruptcy. So I don't know if that has anything to do with
Hmm.
Dark Horse now picking it up. But yeah, back in the day, I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan. I loved that he was doing comic books. I thought he did a great job with his Zony Press ones. I really enjoyed them. He did a run on Daredevil and a run on Green Arrow that I really enjoyed both of those. But at this point, I think this is maybe a decade or two too late. I'm not really interested in reading any more about his View Askewverse. And then he's also pissed off a lot of fans lately with some of his Twitter rants and
Mhm.
lying to the fans of He-Man. So I don't know where if there'll be much of an interest for this or not.
Yeah, again, this goes back to don't pick fights with the fans. Just don't do it. Just walk away. Like that. That I agree. Like I kind of saw something. So I live here in St. Louis, and I did see on Facebook, and I was kind of surprised. I saw an ad for him coming to the pageant, for
Mm-hmm.
Clerks 3. He was doing some kind of promo, and I looked
Yeah.
at I mean, it was like a day or so old or so, but it didn't have like, it was kind of getting a little bit more like junior varsity likes. And what I mean is, like, there wasn't like all kinds of comments, like hundreds of comments. There wasn't even hundreds of likes. It was like maybe 160 likes, and it had been out for like a day or two. And like that, just I don't know what that. I agree with you. Like I'm not hating on Kevin Smith, but like at the same time, like there's like five other things, like if not 50 other things ahead of him that like I would care to dip into, or tune into for sure.
Yeah, he was sort of like um the guy that you could kind of picture yourself as. You're like, wow, if I
Right,
could make a
every man.
movie, yeah, the everyman. Clerks would be a movie that I could make if I knew how to do it and whatnot. And when he started writing comic books, oh man, that's my dream to write a comic book, and he's getting to do it. That's great. And he always had a lot of goodwill towards him. But lately it seems like, yeah, he's um kind of pushing away the fans, and then that's kind of sad to see. And also his latest movie, I watched his last Jay and Silent Bob movie, and I wish I hadn't. It was one of the least funny things I have ever seen. There's a good scene between Ben Affleck and Jason Hughes that is really kind of endearing, and that's the only thing that's good about that movie. I'll
Mm.
say that.
Yeah, he like it's kind of I was gonna say Dogma. I remember when Dogma came out, and I remember that was like when you that was kind of the really tail end, to kind of keep it PG, of like where you could actually pick a fight with the church and then like some kind of because that occurred when Dogma came out. There's a little bit of pearl clutching for Jesus, the depiction of Jesus, and a little bit. Not nowadays, you couldn't do that. Nobody would care. Nobody would care.
Yeah.
Two shakes.
Yeah, you kind of roboted throughout that, but basically you were talking about how it was kind of got into some religious conundrums, is what you were saying.
Yeah, like the last time that was like relevant. You could do that. And I agree with you. I think you said at the top of this, which was like it's about a decade too late.
Yeah,
I'll go
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, moving on. I think we're sliding into recommendations.
Yeah, I think so. Sounds good.
Unless there was something I missed. I don't want to miss anything. Not much. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So if you're jonesing for it's the last season of The Boys is over, and we're anticipating the new season, but so away. Garth Ennis, the original creator of The Boys, he has a new comic book out, Jimmy's Little Bastards, that came out last week.
Okay.
It's he's back up to an old shenanigans. This is the characters in there's a prequel to this called Jimmy's Bastards, which I didn't read, which I'm planning on getting the hardcover collection of those so that I can read that. But basically, this is take James Bond and make him a middle-aged guy that has a daughter, which is decided that his old ways are a little bit too much for this day and age. He's decided to get a little bit more PC. He's kind of settled down. He's not womanizing. He's got his nice little dad sweater on and his dog, and he's not out romping around. He's with his dog watching the telly. And his daughter, who's kind of taking his place and is trying to be a badass, comes to him and needs him to go back on the job, do one last adventure with her, he's. If you think this is a PC comic, obviously it's not. It's very, very over the top, very it aims to offend in a
That's
good
awesome.
way.
That's awesome, and that's awesome. Good recommendation. And I found I don't want to miss it here. I'll bring it up. It was the one we almost missed this one because I remember you. This was the Ferris Bueller.
There you go. There's going to be a planned spinoff of Ferris Bueller. And before you get too concerned about it, it is done by the Cobra Kai guys, so they're kind of they know how to do it, and they're not trying to do Ferris Bueller again. They're going to do the adventures of those two guys that took off in the dad's car.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's going to be about what shenanigans they got up to when they put all those miles on that car. So it could be interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to be. I think it said it was going to be a movie. Maybe it's just a series, but I think it's a movie. But yeah, that could be interesting.
Very cool. And I think I forgot one of the new Fantastic Four creative team.
Yeah. Dan Slott's ending his run on Fantastic Four, and the new person that's going to do it is the writer of Squirrel Girl. I don't really care for Squirrel Girl, so I don't know how good this is going to be. It's pitched for it sounds interesting. He said he wants to get back to kind of a Star Trek vibe to it. That it's kind of each issue is going to be sort of a alien or planet kind of story that's self-contained in one issue. So that could be interesting. But again, and Alex Ross is going to do the covers. If you scroll down, you see the great artwork of Alex Ross. I think they have a couple of but also the Alex Ross is going to come out with a graphic novel that's not done by Marvel. It's going to be done by I think some other publisher that Marvel is allowing to do it, which is going to come out I think later this year as well. And Alex Ross is going to do all of the artwork, and I think he wrote it too. So that one is probably more higher on my list of getting than this, but who knows? Could be good, could be bad.
Sure. Not to forget about Marvel confirm the next Punisher versus Daredevil fight.
Yeah, they're kind of building up the Punisher. He's the head of the Hand, and the Daredevil and Elektra are starting up the Fist to take on the Hand. So it's leading up to a big battle between the Punisher and Daredevil. And the Jason Aaron's writing an amazing job on Punisher, and Chip Zdarsky's doing a stand-up job on Daredevil. So I can't wait for this. This is going to be good.
Awesome, very cool. Then I'll take. Sorry about that, my friend. Taking it back to the recommendations.
Hey,
here.
you never know what's in the grab bag. You kind of mix it around, so things get a little jumbled. No worries.
Yeah, indeed. And then I think that goes into our next one. Did we miss any news stories here real quick before I go too forward?
I don't think so. Oh yeah,
All
Barbaric. Barbaric. This is we talked about this on a previous podcast.
We did. Yeah.
The first run on it, and then this is a new story that they're starting up. You don't have to have read the previous story. This is a whole new story. It's a fantasy story about a barbarian that's been cursed by these witches to do good deed, and he's kind of settled with an axe that talks to only him. Only he can hear the axe, and it gets drunk on blood. So as he fights, the axe gets drunk on blood, and he gets kind of loopy as they fight. So it's a kind of awful kind of fantasy. Definitely a fantasy series. You got various creatures and whatnot. You've got vampires. I think it starts with fighting a vampire lord to save one of his friends. So yeah, I enjoy it. It sort of has Conan the Barbarian vibes, definitely. But yeah, it's a good read. And this is a start of a new story, so it's a good time to jump on board.
Agreed. Yeah, I definitely I need to check that because it sounds zany and cool and crazy and awesome. And the artwork looks pretty good too.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's lead into your YouTube recommendation for this week.
Who are these podcasts? This is a group of comedians led by Carl, and basically they spotlight bad podcasts. Hopefully we don't end up on there, but yeah, they kind of roast various podcasts, and they stumbled upon Stuttering John, who from Howard Stern fame, and also he was the announcer for the Tonight Show with Jay Leno for a while, but he's trying his hand at podcasting, political podcast. He's a far left podcaster, and Carl and the gang have been having a great fun time roasting him. He's he at times makes it very easy for them to make fun of him, but yeah, it's definitely entertaining if you're looking for a few laughs. None of their podcasts goes over an hour, so it's not a huge time sink. But yeah, and again, if they're not talking about Stuttering John, they're talking about Mike Tyson's podcast. They made fun of Patton Oswalt and his wife's podcast, which is it's you would Patton Oswalt would be funny enough to carry a podcast even with his wife that isn't, known for being in the public eye, but yeah, it's pretty. They also played clips, and yeah, it's pretty awful.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show like not everybody needs a podcast. And this, I was kind of reminded of this too, where I don't watch Mike Tyson's podcast or whatever, but he had Bill Maher, and you can just kind of tell the level of quality that you get from folks who do it for a living. And it's for Bill Maher. Whether you like Bill Maher or not, one thing you can give him is he can hold a conversation, and he's been doing that forever. So whether you like him or not, whatever, But Mike Tyson, when he did, I only caught part of it, a few clips here or there, but like when he's sitting down and talking with Mike Tyson, I mean, it's just like, you know what? I don't really want to hear Mike Tyson. I want to hear Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of that they get it very quickly. Mike Tyson is not
yeah. One thing they point out with the Mike Tyson interviews is that a lot of times he's doing drugs, he's doing mushrooms. You got your your guest there, and when you got a boxer high on mushrooms, you don't get him upset. They quickly realize they're maybe in a dangerous situation potentially.
Could be. I just know one thing is when Mike Tyson is on an airplane, leave him alone.
Yeah. Definitely.
Indeed. Yeah. The only other one I didn't really have a recommendation, was more like a reroll, which was El Tato or whatever. And that's a horrible name, but it was on YouTube, and I didn't, of course, come prepared.
So you rolled the 20-sided dice, re-rolled, and landed upon this.
Whatever, I'll put a description anyway, but it's just a reroll.
Okay.
But
Okay.
It's
all right.
Effective. He has very few, like thousands of subs now, but he kind of gives you like the businessy side with a little bit more like flair or whatever, but it's interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll check this out. Anything else that we might have missed?
No, but I do have one last new segment that
you did.
Yep. And I've introducing this. This is going to be Cringe Corner. So anytime we find something that's very cringy, could be like a lol cow, some goofy character, which that's what we have today. But it could be anything you find cringeworthy. We'll throw it into here that we want people to check out. Are you familiar with Def Noodles?
No.
Okay. He a little backstory on him. Def Noodles, he's a comedian, and he kind of rose to fame because he has a YouTube channel, which you could maybe pull up. He does kind of commentary. He does news stories on famous people and YouTubers, and Def as in DEF, Def Noodles.
Okay.
But yeah, so he actually got a lot of fame from his channel reporting the news. However, he got into some controversy because he misreported the news. There was a troll that put out some fake news that he reported as real news, and instead of being a grown-up boy and saying I made a mistake, this was kind of he should have redacted it, but he fell on the excuse of, well, I'm a comedian, so I don't have to report the news correctly because I'm a comedian. and since then he's continuously have gotten himself involved in various dramas. His out has always been, I'm a comedian. And so his latest one, he got in with another fellow creator named Papa Gut. I don't know the full history of the conflict, but it ended up Def Noodles was implying that Papa Gut was a pedophile, or that he looked like a pedophile. He strongly implied that he was. In the course of Papa Gut defending himself, he ended up talking about something that very personal that happened to his wife. In his discussion of it, Papa Gut ended up breaking down and crying because of that situation of him having to talk about it.
Sure.
And Def Noodles should have backed off. He should have he definitely should apologize for what he was saying about Papa Gut, but he doubled down and created a t-shirt, started selling a t-shirt with Papa Gut crying on it, and he was bragging that he brought a grown man to cry, and which was a bad take, and a lot of his fans have turned on him. So very cringeworthy. So that happened, and so he decided to deflect, and he decided to put on a roast battle where he was supposed to bring together a bunch of YouTubers and comedians and roast each other, and it turned out horribly. And I was going to give you a video link to a good commentary on it. Let's see.
Right on.
And you can, let's see, let me send this to you. And so you guys can watch this at your leisure, but it's definitely an entertaining watch. Moist Critical does a very good takedown. He doesn't watch the whole thing, thankfully, because it's a very cringeworthy thing. But if you're into kind of cringeworthy stuff, Moist Critical takes you through the highlights or lowlights of the roast. And this is something Def Noodles was going to do every month. Also, he was not able to con YouTubers into being on this. Evidently, these are his comedian friends that he was able to rope in, and these comedian friends have no clue what's been going on the internet with Def Noodles. They're just maybe they're just kind of partial Def Noodles, so they had no clue what's going on, whereas most of the audience there knows what's going on. And he has his chat scrolling while they're doing the roast, and a lot of the chats keep saying Papa Gut wins, Papa Guts wins, and so his comedian friends were going, "Who's Papa Gut?"
Oh, that's so funny. They took him down. They embarrassed him. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and he was streaming on YouTube and Twitch, and they were, as they were roasting, the lady there that was roasting with him accidentally said the F slur on it, or well, she intentionally said it, but that takes you down immediately on Twitch. Which so his Twitch stream got banned while he was doing it. And also one of the things that Moist Critical points out is these comedian friends that he has, evidently none of them know each other, so you can't really do a quality roast battle against each other unless you know each other or are aware of each other. So it basically broke down to them making fun of the way each other looks. Basically, that's all they could
I was gonna say that then it just breaks down to like an a really shitty open mic night. Pardon my language. Really crappy open mic night or something like that, or like maybe a level or two below that.
I think it's get reduced down to sixth graders going off on each other in the cafeteria. That's the level of comedy here. And the final boss battle, which is Def Noodles and that lady there, it's over the top cringe. He's very, very bad, and for him to continue to call himself a comedian is a travesty to comedy.
Yeah, some guys make it, some guys don't. Yeah, I'll have to check this out. Just how bad
Yeah,
it is. That's
yeah, and
just like the implosion. It just gets worse and worse and worse because they don't know what the
right.
hell they're doing.
Yeah, and also as kind of raises in his cringe factor and lolcow status, the internet trolls and sleuths are starting to dig into him, and he's been saying he's in his mid-20s, but he makes these references to SNL, old SNL, and it just didn't fit. It's like either he's like way into old stuff, or he's not that age. And coming to find out, he was lying about his age. He's closer to 40. He's 37.
Wow. That's
So
funny.
there's even less of an excuse for him being such a what he is. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it sounds like
see all those reds there of him dropping subscribers.
yeah, sounds like an ass
Yeah.
for sure.
All
That's
right,
funny.
and so that closes up the cringe corner. And so this is the introductory episode, and so feel free. And this isn't going to be a weekly thing. It's just only whenever we find something
Sure.
cringeworthy to throw in the corner and make fun of. so
Absolutely.
so
For
yeah,
sure.
anytime you find something, Mike, feel free to do that. And you guys out there, congratulations, you made it to the end of our grab bag. And so you can always comment, like, subscribe, and click that bell for notifications. That's what that's
Absolutely.
there for. And then yeah, if you have a cringe corner suggestion, go ahead and give us. Or if you have some news item that you want us to talk about, a particular show that you like, that you want us to kind of watch, or maybe expound upon, feel free. And then we've kind of suspended our watch series. So if you have a suggestion for that, you can give a suggestion for that as well.
Yep. In the next few weeks or so, when things settle down here, I think we'll be looking at entertaining and bringing that back for sure. But if you have a suggestion, let us know. And with that, that closes up this week's grab bag.
Yep.
I've been
Thomas.
Mike.
See ya.